Hello, welcome to another episode of Tigers, blah, blah, blah. Myself, Luke Flanagan, and co-host is Rich Walker.
Now then.
We've got Craig Fagan on the show today, so this should be good. Myself and Rich are very excited about this one.
Yeah,
so,
big fan of Craig Fagan.
Yeah, we both are. We really rated him, I think, and especially his work rate. But some decent goals, some quality performances in there for his career.
Decent goals, graft, general shithousery.
Indeed, I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, welcome, Craig Fagan. Now then, Craig.
Hi, are you okay?
Hey, Craig.
Hi, are you okay?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries at all. No problem at all, mate.
It's we've had quite a few players on, but it just seems a bit surreal that we can chat to people who we've just watched from the terraces or watched from the KC or wherever else we've seen you. So we really appreciate it.
No problem, mate. Just a normal person, mate.
I'm sure. So obviously we wanted to ask you just a load of stuff about City, basically about your time here and all that sort of stuff. And then so I'm gonna hand over to Rich. He usually starts the questions, so we'll keep it as we normally do. Rich, the floor's all yours, mate.
Okay, mate. Yeah, just echo what Luke said, really, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate the time. The first thing I wanted to kind of touch on was the start of your time at City. You've been playing for Colchester, and if I remember rightly, Colchester had come to City in the cup, and you had, I think, torn as a new arsehole playing for Colchester at the KC. So when the move for City came about, having had that experience at the KC recently, what were your thoughts?
First thing that come to mind was, I can't go there.
Yeah, because they've just done them over.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, I was excited because I knew how good the team was because I just played against them. But intense, I just got pelters that game from the stand. I was just getting abused. I didn't help myself. I had obviously bright blue boots on, and tackling everybody. And
that was your style, though, wasn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, and I enjoy playing like that. I had to be angry. I had to be, having conflict with defenders. That's just how I was. But the fans just didn't take to me, which you're playing against them. But obviously, once I'd scored and I ran to the corner, I was getting abused. That was hence the reason why I ran to that corner. But then once I knew I was going to go there, I was excited about it because I just felt that, listen, if I could turn them round what I mean by that is if starting well and scoring and just playing how I did that game for Hull, I'm sure they'd be on my side. And the support after that was unbelievable. Yeah, but that first game, Tranmere, was unbelievable.
At least you came on and scored, didn't you? I think we won 3-1 that game.
Yeah. And listen, it was a decision I didn't even have to think about. Obviously, I had a great time at Colchester. Coming to Hull was massive. We'd already spoke about at Colchester, like when we were playing against Hull, because obviously Nick Barmby was there. It was massive for me in terms of, so when I was younger, he was playing for Liverpool and Everton and England. Yeah. He played in the 5-1 against Germany. And so it was a no-brainer for me because I was thinking, hold on a minute, I'm going to be playing up front with him. I got a chance to play with him.
Was that a massive factor then, the Nick Barmby factor?
Massive, yeah. And I hadn't even met get on with him if I'm honest, but it was just the chance to play with him. And then when I turned up, lads have an arrogance about them that you sign in, you assume you're going to play the first game. So obviously Tranmere away, I was assuming I was going to start, and I had the ump because I wasn't starting. That's how strong the team was.
Yeah.
And obviously, I was just determined to prove straight away what I could do, and I managed to come on and score. So, was it the right decision by the manager? Yeah, he probably knew what he was doing. Probably
sounds like it for that game at least.
Yeah.
Got you fired up, and he used it to his advantage, really, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'd be like, well, I'm going to show him I should be fucking starting here.
Exactly that. And like massive day. I mean, I've done a few things over the last couple of months, and what I've said when I've been speaking about the club and stuff, and what I said in terms of that season when I went there, I'd never heard of it being back to football clubs before, away games.
Yeah. It used to happen quite regularly as well around that time.
And I couldn't believe it because we had the amount of people that came to games. Obviously, away support was unbelievable. But then we were still having all that support at home. In was it the East Stand?
Yeah.
And I believe the amount of people were going and watching. It was surreal at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like next level support. I mean, I was at the Tranmere game, and I can remember the stand was packed out.
Yeah,
because it was a huge game as well, wasn't it? Like they were 4 points behind us at the time, so like to go there and win 3-1.
Yeah. It was a massive game in the build-up before. Like you say, if we were kind of saying if we nick 3 points today, that kind of seals it to a certain degree. They're not going to catch us, and it'll hurt them obviously playing at home and us coming there and beating them. And the fans helped that day massively. Like playing into that end, the second half.
Yeah.
I know they love playing the other way into their fans, but it felt like a home game for us in terms of the amount of numbers that were there, the noise that was made. It was real good.
We've been to, I mean, me and Rich have been to a few games on recently, but especially during this time when you were signing and maybe towards the first Premier League season, the amount of support we took, it's not the same now, and there's loads of different issues around that, but the amount of, we'd sell out everywhere, wouldn't we? Like the away allocation be snapped up.
Yeah, and that's massive, I mean, in terms of playing and playing for people that are coming to watch you, it does make a difference. And I know it's cliche and you hear loads of players say it, but, when the fans are with you, and like when I signed, they were 100% behind us. Even if we lost, the amount that travelled, they knew we were giving our all. And it was kind of like a two-way thing. We were giving extra to them because the amount that were travelling. So, yeah, it was good times, definitely. And just the way we bounced off each other, fans and players, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, there was a real closeness, I think, between the fans and the players. And I think that came from the pitch up because, from reading interviews with you all, it's like you all seem to live in each other's pockets to some extent, that tight-knit group that you had.
Yeah, I think everyone lived in the area as well. I think that helped. Don't help so much when you go on a run of games and you're losing. But in terms of that, I think you have to buy into the city. And I quite liked it because, first of all, I was living in Brough. So you're not far from out the area. You're around the town centre, so you can see the amount of shirts that people are wearing and they're starting to take to the football club. And it was a big thing. We all lived either in Beverley or Brough, so we were all doing the same things. We'd meet each other after training or on days off and stuff. So there was a definite togetherness, 100%. And I think the way the club went up through the leagues, it kept a good group of players. So the heart of the club was still there from League Two, and then coming up, if you get what I mean. So yeah, like that.
Obviously, Peter Taylor signed you.
Yeah.
I read an interview with him where he said that he described you as moody, but it was only because you wanted to win. Do you think that's a fair description?
Yeah. Listen, I don't care in saying it. I'm a winner. I want to be a winner. I don't see the point of playing games to lose.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah.
I train like that. Anything that I play, like golf, anything. I want to win, and that's just competitive. And I think you saw that the way I played. What I couldn't get my head around sometimes, not just when PT is there, it's just other managers and wherever else, is people that weren't giving their 100% for the club are still playing. Now I know in football things like those underlying things why people have to play and blah de blah. I get it. But as a young lad, sometimes that's frustrating. You learn all this as you get older. But yeah, if I wasn't playing, I wasn't happy about it. But I wasn't a problem.
No, it wasn't like the bad influence in the dressing room. But you did get the ump when you.
All I did was try harder and prove people wrong.
Yeah.
And I think I went through. There was a couple of spells under PT. There was one time when I think I didn't play for like 4 or 5 games. And he tried to make a point of that. I don't know who came in and was starting, and then he brought me back after I went. I think we went to see Adam. Adam got involved a little bit as well. Played because I was explaining to Adam, listen, I want for the club. I'm getting left out. I'm not coming on. And then we played Plymouth at home, and I scored. And I started playing again then. So then I just wanted to win. And I'm sure he'd say that. I was never a problem. Just like I say, just wanted to be playing and winning. I think that's how lads have got to be. Yeah, I think you'd rather have lads coming and wanting to win for your team and play for your team than just sitting in the stand and being happy at just not playing and picking up the money. I could never do that.
No. Yeah, it's a good problem to have if you've got lads with your attitude where you just want to play football and do your best rather than I'm happy to pick up whatever, it's all right sitting on the bench. I don't mind. I'm still getting paid.
Yeah, that was never me. Yeah, didn't enjoy.
I think there's a lot of fans can tell, can't they? Like from the off, because you were obviously you said before against Tranmere you were pissed off. You thought you should be starting.
Yeah,
and you've come on and you've scored, and you've tried so hard to do that. You've done it. The fans instantly take to you, don't they?
Yeah,
like, he wants to work hard. He wants to graft. And when you try to make that point, that's probably why you had such an affinity with us, with the fans.
And I never did it in a disrespectful way to the players that I was playing with, and I'm sure they'd say the same. I think when you play football, you've got to have a bit of arrogance about yourself that you believe you're better than the people that are playing in your positions. Otherwise, you'd either be happy to not be playing. And I'm yet to. I mean, I coach now. And I've played the game. I'm yet to know a footballer that's gone to a manager and say, "Oh, I don't feel like it today, Gaffer. Give him a chance instead of me, and I'll just."
Yeah.
It don't happen, does it?
Not when you're on appearance.
A bit of arrogance about them that they want to play every game. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just how we are.
Are you under 23s coach now?
Well, I was at Hull, but I left. I'm now under 23s at Southend.
Southend, yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere down south again,
yeah. So I'm enjoying it, mate. Different side to the game. Just trying to pass on stuff that I've learned, what I did well and what I didn't do so well, and trying to the younger lads. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
That's good. Obviously, one of the things that you probably don't want to relive, but actually it didn't matter in the end, was the missed penalty in that first season. Was it weird that? I mean, missing it, but then realising that it didn't matter anyway, that the result didn't ride on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, was it Swindon, was it? I'm sure was it Swindon? No.
Yeah, it was Swindon,
Yeah. It wasn't a great game. They just came to make it difficult for us. I remember it. It weren't a great game. And I remember taking the penalty. I knew I was going to have the penalty, but I just, for some reason, I just changed my mind. Never happened since.
They say always say, don't they? Never, pick a corner, never change your mind.
It's just, I don't know what it was. It was just something. As I was running up to it, I just changed the way I went. Listen, he saved it, but we went up. So I was like, it was like, listen, we're up anyway. Disappointed I missed the penalty, but it didn't mean anything in terms of we were up, and that was the main thing.
Yeah,
the main thing. That's all that matters, really.
Was there any sense of anticlimax among the players at drawing that game? Not to seal it with a win, because I can remember in the stands. Obviously, you missed the penalty, and then the full-time whistle seemed to go almost immediately afterwards, and it was like a bit of a wet fart.
Yeah,
had gone up.
No,
immediately, not in terms of like once you got the wider sense of the achievement, like the rush was still there. But
listen, it would have been massive to obviously go and win the league as well. But I think in terms of, if you look at the club now it's gone on. It was massive that getting into the championship, the way we did. Sorry. So at the time, I think we were just happy it was all over because it was quite intense. Knowing you had to win every game. And what I would say is, if you think about League One, there was never a club with that kind of stadium that we were playing, really. So every time I thought we played teams at home, they tried harder.
Yeah, they said that all the way through the lower leagues for us. People are coming. It was like their day out.
And hence the reason, like when I was at Colchester and I came to play, I was like, listen, I'm having a bit of this today. because decent stadium, League One. I was at 19 years of age, coming to it was a big stadium. Was always busy because we heard about obviously the amount of crowds you was having all season. So it was like, oh, this is the time to show what you're about, and that's what we felt. Well, I felt every team that came after that they were always up for it. Even the teams that were struggling relegation wise, they were still thinking, you know, if maybe individually, if I play well today, I might be able to nick a move, or if we play,
impress the right people.
Everybody just seemed to up their game.
Yeah.
The other thing about that season, Craig, that I wanted to ask you was we ended up finishing 12 points behind Luton. Yeah. Was there any sense of frustration among the players about that? Because I didn't think that there was 12 points between the two teams.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of the quality of the squads.
Yeah, I didn't think there was that great a difference, like you say, between the team. I mean, I can still remember some of the players now. Steve Howard,
Kevin Nichols, they had, didn't they? And
what's that? Davis was at the back, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, Berkovic, I think.
So they had a decent group, but we did as well. I don't know. Maybe we just drew some games that we could have won, maybe, and I don't know. But there wasn't a massive difference between the groups. No. Yeah. So in terms of the points, I don't know how it was that great.
So obviously, we next thing was we go up into the championship, even though we didn't. We had the bit of anticlimactic thing of everything else that had happened. But when you go, obviously you're going up another league there, and like you said before, you know, whenever there were teams that were coming to Hull, there was like crowds of 20,000, whether it was in League Two or then League One when you joined. Yeah. What was there a big kind of, I don't know, steep learning curve in the championship? Because now you've got massive teams there, and Hull aren't the biggest team anymore, are they, in that league? So
not at that time, we weren't, for sure.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, we were kind of counted as one of the smaller clubs, really. And it helped to a certain degree because I think teams kind of wrote us off. But we had a decent squad, and I think we added wisely to it. It would have been very hard to go back to back and then go straight up again. So I think the first season it was just consolidating, really, making sure that we didn't overspend, didn't go the wrong way with it. And I thought we'd done okay in terms of that. I don't think we did anything drastically wrong. We just done enough, really, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. But obviously, the big thing about that was, you know, with Peter Taylor going, you've then got Parkinson coming in, and you'd worked under him at Colchester, hadn't you?
Yeah, I had. But the disappointing thing for me was, I think when he was at Colchester, and obviously I worked with him at Colchester, he had Garrett Williams with him as well, and he didn't come. So it's hard. He stayed and was then the manager at Colchester, and I know he lived in Ipswich, and they worked so well together. I think maybe Parkinson missed him a little bit when he came in to Hull.
Do you think it would have been a bit of a different story if he'd have had solid number two?
I think listen, when you're a manager, and obviously I'm in that now a little bit, that you go in and sometimes it was a bigger club than what he was at Colchester. He maybe tried to change too many things straight away. I think he'd admit that now. And it kind of, if you think about it, PT was there a long time. He knew all the players that were there. Everything was working to a certain degree. And then to try and change too much too soon, it didn't quite work with the lads that we had there. So, yeah, I think if he had his time, he maybe would have done things a little bit different and maybe not tried to change so much. But what he did do is probably his best thing was bring Brownie in.
Yeah.
I know he ended up taking his job, but for all Brownie is quite loud and quite elaborate and flamboyant sometimes. I know you hear people say that. He looks like he's got a bit of an ego. What I will say is when he first come in, the confidence that he gave the lads, just the way he's coaching, he made everybody believe that we should be in that league and we're good enough to win games. I think when he come in, we started to have that bit of belief back about ourselves and started winning games again. So that was good, yeah.
Yeah, cause we had a terrible start to the season, really, didn't we?
It weren't great. Like I said, change of style, change of players. It just didn't sit right. Something just weren't right.
The balance wasn't quite there, was it? In terms of, I mean, the players he bought in all turned out to be pretty good for us, but it wasn't quite the balance.
Yeah. Like you say, the players brought in ended up being good for us, but in terms of the start, it just wasn't the start which we needed. So, like I say, after when Brownie came in, things started to turn around a little bit.
It coincided with a really good run of form for yourself, because you were growing in influence.
I think Brownie come in and he changed where we were playing as well. So he changed to 4-3-3. I was playing either on the right or the left, and there was someone else down the middle. But he was kind of like, he was quite arrogant at times, Brownie, with the things that he would say, and he got like the attacking players to buy into it. He was like, we're good enough to defend. You three stay up. So like. It's weird to hear, because sometimes you don't hear that from managers. It was like everybody behind the ball, like we need to defend as a group. But he'd make you have that belief in yourself that the team needed you to stay up and to save your energy and stay higher up the pitch, and we'll get the ball to you, and then you go and make something happen, the three of you. And if you think of the games we played well, Cardiff, Burnley, all these home games, and we played that formation. What else did we play? South End away. That was one of round.
When Wednesday and QPR stick out as well. That QPR game, especially.
It was the way he said to do them things. It just come to fruition, and the lads started to then have confidence again in themselves, which was good to see. Yeah.
I suppose the defenders as well will be like, shit, they're leaving 3 up. Like, what do we do? Yeah. And I suppose that kind of throws their kind of, if they've got a tactical plan of going, right, well, we'll push up.
Exactly.
Because they'll be all behind the ball. It won't work the same.
This is the team that was struggling in the league. Hold on a minute. They're leaving 3 up.
Yeah.
So they were changing the way they were playing then. They weren't coming and putting us under pressure. But what it did do to our back players is we didn't go long ball. What we played a ball to the front quicker. Front three, there was more space. It was kind of like go and get on with it. And it helped the defenders and the deeper midfielders to play the ball forward and get out and create counter-attacks. And it worked. It worked, yeah.
I mean, I remember the contrast. Like we went down to Colchester when we lost 5-1. It was a horrible night, and I remember that was the night where you're thinking, result aside, the way that we played. I think we had Nicky Forster up front in a 4-5-1, and it was long balls up to his head all night.
It's like, what are you doing?
It was a long trip back, that one.
But it was.
It was horrible. I mean, coming away from the ground, I remember my dad, he was driving and he was so pissed off because it was a weeknight. I think he ran over a dog, ran out in front of the car, and he was so annoyed he didn't even stop for it, which was just completely out of character. It's just like, no, we're going home. I've had enough.
We played over before that game or after that game. I can't remember who we played before and after, but we stayed over at Five Lakes. And like you say, it was a horrible result in terms of we stayed over. We made a bit of an effort because it was miles away. And just the result, 5-1 ain't great. Losing away from Mohem ain't great, but losing 5-1 and then having to travel, how many hours was it? Probably 5-6 hours?
It's a long journey, that down to Colchester.
I mean, the gaffer and Brownie give us some telling off after the game. There was some true words said. And obviously, people's character was asked, and it was not a quiet dressing room, shall I say?
Because then after that, you get a bit of form once Brownie takes over, and then you move to Derby in January, don't you? But obviously, that's kind of short-lived, isn't it? Because you have the middle of the next season, you then return on loan before joining like permanently again. Did it feel right to come back at the time? So I remember, obviously, you got your big chance after a lot of good form shown for us, and there was a rising to $1 million even, wasn't it? The fee depending on
it was weird in terms of. Listen, I wouldn't say I was celebrating leaving, because even when it come down to signing on the dotted line, when I was there, it wasn't 100% that I was definitely going to go, because in my head I weren't 100% sure. But it worked for both parties in terms of the club were getting a decent amount of money, considering where I was, how much I came to Hull for. It could have meant that they got 2 or 3 different players to help stay up. So it worked for both parties. But then when I went to Derby, obviously we got promoted, everything was great. And then obviously Billy Davis got the sack, Paul Jewell came in, and he was just weren't having me whatsoever. To be fair, he weren't having a lot of players. Once I knew Hull wanted me back, I didn't have any hesitation, because I knew that I'd played my best football there. I wasn't worried about going back. No fear. It was just like, I kind of like going home kind of thing. Yeah, I'm off. Yeah, it wasn't anything to talk about. It was like, yeah, get me back.
So, as we were saying about moving back to Hull after the short spell at Derby, obviously you returned for the promotion season, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was it like coming back in after that time away? Did it feel the same? Did it feel better? How did it feel? I'm just interested to know how when a player comes back so quickly, how it feels.
Well, in terms of that, it was a quick turnaround, but most of the squad was still there. Just a team full of more confidence, and then they'd added a few better players. So it meant the competition for places were better. And I just enjoyed it. It was like you'd never left, basically. There's still the people there. The main group, the spine of the team was still there. And like I said before, it was like kind of coming home to a certain degree,
So that season, obviously, when we get to the Championship playoff final, because you did play that game, but you came on as a sub, didn't you?
Yeah.
So was you the same as when you first started in your first spell at Hull? Was you pissed off that you weren't starting still? Or was it just one of them things and you were just happy to...
When I came back, I think it was probably about 4 games before the playoff final. I'd done something to my... And I was still trying to play, but not being 100%. That's just the way, like I said, I wanted to play. So it was one of them. I was gutted. So I came on in the away game against Watford. I came on the game as well, and obviously to come on in the final. But I was never not 100%.
No,
but I wanted to play. I'd done something to my medial, but I could feel it all the time. Every time I went to shoot or cross the ball, I could feel it.
You're just hanging on, and
massive for a football club. Like, you're getting a chance to get into the Premier League. So I was thinking, listen, I want to be a part of this. I can still play. I'll play through the pain. But then I just knew that my training for 3 weeks was going to be crap. And it was. Don't get me wrong, it was. But listen, I was annoyed, but deep down I knew, listen, I wouldn't have been able to play 90 minutes in it. But I know if I come on in any of these games, I'm going to be able to do a job. And listen, I'd been there with Derby the year before. It was massive in terms of seeing the amount of people that were there. You're walking out. So I'd done all that before, seeing the flames going up just before kickoff. So I wasn't as nervous as the other lads because I'd done it the year before.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I don't think I've told many people this. It was only the kit man really and the other staff. We were in the same dressing room that I'd won in the year before.
Well, really?
Yeah, so I was like, listen, we're in the same dressing room.
We're in the winners' enclosure.
We're all right. That's what I actually said to the kit man. I said, we're all right. I said, just make sure you put my kit in the same place. I sat in that seat. I want that seat this time. Again. And he set it up exactly the same. Listen, I'm not saying that's the reason why we won, but little things like that, I just felt...
I mean, the superstitions that footballers have, but when you feel something's right, psychologically, it makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. I just had a feeling that day. I mean, we held on in terms of the chances that they had, but when you see some of the chances, it's been on about. I mean, obviously, I know we've had this lockdown. It's been on about 4 times.
Yeah, even I'm sick of watching it now.
I've got Dino on Facebook, and he always shares the video of his, of his goal, and that must be the most like shared goal, I think, of lockdown, because that's all I see every day is just like Fraser Campbell's chip back, Dino smashing it. So
yeah, I've seen it, and then the chances they had, they could have won that game by easily.
They had a lot more shots on target than we did. I looked at the stats recently, and they kind of battered us in terms of chances, but they just didn't take any of them, did they?
But that summed us up in some of the challenges. So like turn some of his blocks, like Boaz, and you see people.
Oh yeah,
Wayne Brown jumping all over the back of him.
I love that. That's such an iconic bit in it. That like at the end when he's caught it, dived on the floor, and then he's on his back straight away.
Showed what we was as a group. In terms of that, just the way people would put their body on the line, and I think the games toward the end of the season, they weren't pretty, but we just did a job. We did what we needed. That was it. Simple as that.
How did that playoff final experience compare for you, Craig, to the one at Derby? I'm not asking you to say it meant more, but was there any extra satisfaction in it, given that you would come up with a lot of these lads and you put hard yards in?
It was good. The first time for me was good. Listen, I started the game, played well. I say it was a similar game in terms that we got battered as well by West Brom, but we scored one goal and was up. So in terms of that, it was massive. But to play at Wembley is unbelievable. To win there, so it was good. The only difference is being at Hull earlier and knowing the struggles that the club has and how much. It was when I was there at first. It was like a family-based club. Like in the office, you after training or after games, you'd walk in, you'd know everybody's name, you'd say hello, you'd see them around the place, so you knew what it meant and you knew how hard they were all working to get fans in, and it was more of like a family feel about it. Whereas when I went to Derby, I didn't really know too many people because I wasn't there that long. In terms of that, it just felt that I knew how hard everyone else had worked in the past to get where they were, so it meant a little bit more, if you know what I mean. So
I think it'd also be the fact that obviously Hull had not been in the top flight. And Derby had previously. They'd been in the 90s, and when they had Paulo Wanchop and stuff like that, they'd been up there, but City never had. So there was that difference as well, I guess.
And it's like when we speak to stuff. I speak to Barnes all the time, and I speak to a lot of people still from Hull. And that first time, it was like, "What? Hold on a minute. We're Hull City. We've never been in Premier League. There's been any talk of us being in the Premier League before. And then suddenly you're there, and people start to take notice. Then, so for the city and the town, it was massive in terms of that.
Did you feel like the place kind of? Well, obviously when we went up, and then the pre-season coming up, what was the atmosphere like when you're training and stuff? Was it just hype every day?
The lads were excited. Listen, you go in. And you're playing at teams that ain't got, I'm not going to mention any names, but it's not the size of ground that you're going to of in the Premier League teams. And we knew we were underdogs in the game. It's like I said, everybody was just assuming the whole city, like they're going to be first to get relegated, blah de blah, and we were written off. But as a group, I think we were just like, we're going to prove a few people wrong.
Because they kind of made the distinctions to Derby. Derby had got the record low number of points. They were like, Hull are the new Derby.
But the group was good. I think there was a togetherness of the group. I think it helped. We had a tough pre-season, as we did with Brian, and we went away to Borneo in Italy. It was tough. So the lads were fit. The lads were really fit, and I think that helped kickstart us, really. Yeah, the first bit of the season.
I think I had an interview with Dean Windus about this, like that pre-season that you're talking about, and Dino said he never even went on holiday because he said he knew that he needed to be fit, and he was always like, "Well, I'm just a fat lad from Hull," and all that sort of thing that Dino would say. But he was like, "I need to try and make sure that I can compete." So he didn't take time off. He didn't eat shit. He didn't do. And he was training even before pre-season, and he was like, it was that determined. All the squad were that determined to make it that they went the extra mile.
I think at the age he was as well, Dino, I think he needed to, because he was thinking, listen, I might not get a chance to play in the Premier League here. Scored that goal, but I need to prove a point that I'm still fit and can still play and run around. But everybody went away. I think it was more of an excitement thing. I said it's his dreams. you want to play in the top league, and then here's your chance. So you've got 4 weeks. I think it was just under 4 weeks until pre-season started again. So it was kind of like, have a week off, go celebrate, but then get yourself back in ready. And
get the running in straight away, get the fitness up.
Like to be starting in that first game.
Yeah. What was that first game like? I just remember in the ground, it compared almost to the first game that we played at the KC, which obviously you weren't involved in, but it was like you walk in and it's like, it felt different. Yeah. Like everything felt a bit more vivid, you know, the colour and everything.
I'd say that. I mean, I watched it the other day. I think the club did
I did a watch along.
Yeah, there was 3 of us on.
Yeah, Brendan sorted it. I was talking to Brendan about this. Yeah, so he said he saw it. There was you, Caleb, and was it Boaz?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
yeah.
I've watched it back because I'd never watched the whole game before back, but I watched that one obviously on this thing, and it weren't until you see the amount of shirts that there were in the crowd.
Yeah,
and before kickoff there was no seats that were empty. Now normally kickoff, like you're seeing gaps everywhere. Not for this game. Yeah. Everybody was already in there before. And then even when the whistle went, there was still a lot of people there, where normally in games, like if it was just a normal season game, people are leaving 5-10 minutes before. Now, I don't begrudge that, because obviously people have got to get where they've got to go. I understand that. But honestly, it was totally different. I'd say that season, the Premier League and the Championship, the way the fans were was unbelievable. Yeah, it was good to see. It was just, like I say, different atmosphere. They were just embrace the fact that we were there, and maybe not that we shouldn't have been there, but people were looking at us like we shouldn't have been there.
And not to put words in your mouth as well, but assists are as good as goals, aren't they?
Well, yeah, for that first one. For that first one, yeah.
Do you ever think, oh, I wish I'd have just belted it and scored myself, or did it not even enter your mind?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is hindsight 2020.
Yeah. But this is why we train and we do certain things. When you put in them scenarios, that you pick the right decision. So in terms of that, we won the game, didn't we? Do you know what I mean? So it was the right choice. Team wise, it's the right choice. For me personally, depends on what manager you got, because if he's looking at how many goals you got at the end of the season, he's probably not picking me. But if he understands that you're playing for the team and that's the most important thing, then
I think towards the end of that first game as well, Craig, didn't you actually absolutely poleaxe somebody as a very cynical move? Yeah. Great bit of shithousery that. I will say, well done on that.
It weren't long after that, to be fair. It weren't long after I'd set the goal up for Caleb.
Yeah.
I'd gone to bring the ball down, and then there was no one on, or I slipped over or whatever. And then Konchesky's gone on the break.
Yeah,
all
that
I'm
was it.
thinking
Yeah.
is, listen, we're winning 2-1. There's like 2 minutes of the game. There's no way you're running all the way down the other end and they're going to score, because I'll never play in this team for the next 5-10 games. So I'm going to have to take you down, mate.
One for the team.
Yeah, listen, I went to get the ball, missed the ball, and obviously I got a booking, but I knew it was coming. It was one of them ones where you take one for the team. So
I'm always a big fan of that, to be honest. I love a cynical tackle. As long as nobody gets
there. Yeah, he knew what type of tackle it was. It wasn't where I've gone to do him. It was like,
no.
You over. So he knew, to be fair, after the game, he was laughing. He knew what was coming. So
it was like, I expected you to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that moves us on quite nicely, because, you said you've put in all that hard work over the pre-season. You get yourself off to a good start with that win. And obviously you talk about that challenge. It wasn't a cynical one. 3 games later, we're beating Newcastle and Danny Guthrie breaks your leg with a very, very, if you were being kind, cynical challenge.
Oh, that was war crime of a tackle, that one.
It wasn't even a tackle. It was a kick.
No, it was GBH, mate, that.
Yeah, it didn't come at a good time. And in terms of starting to play really well, and I was getting back to the form, maybe when I was leaving, because my knee was better. Felt 100%, felt fit because I put it in pre-season. I was starting to link up well with Marlon King, and then that happened. And at first, obviously, reaction, I jumped straight up.
Yeah, you got right in his face, didn't you?
Was that he broke your leg and you're trying to run it off?
When I got up, I knew something weren't right. In terms of the noise when he kicked me, it was like when you slap 2 bricks together. That was the noise, but I just assumed it was my shin pad. I thought my shin pad had cracked or something.
Yeah.
So I've jumped up, but then I felt it. But then if you look back at the video now, you can see that I can't put the weight on my foot.
No.
So yeah, carried on. I played the next 3 minutes because I went down. Obviously, the physio just said it was like not a dead leg, but he said it was like bone bruising. You broke your bone. He was saying it's not broken. He said it's fine because it was the bone. it was the bone you actually used to balance, so you could actually
right.
It, but it's smaller bone where you obviously use to balance when you're walking and running, etc. So yeah, I played the next 3 minutes, but Jesus, it was killing after that. It was throbbing.
I bet it was. Do you still look back at that? Sorry, Rich, go on, you go.
No, you go. You're all right.
Do you still look back at, because did he ever apologise to you, Danny Guthrie?
I did get an apology, but 3 months later, and it only came after there was a bit of like people had heard of him and he apologised and blah 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 and all this, and so yeah, he did in the end. But I think when you,
because we were due to play him again, weren't we, in the FA Cup? Was it? Yeah.
And so I'm older and wiser now. So in terms of the situation, they weren't having a great time. Newcastle, I think it's the first time I've ever seen fans doing a conga around the middle of the stadium. Did you go to the game or did you see?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember the atmosphere was poisonous.
Yeah, it was horrible. They were doing a conga around there, and obviously they weren't happy with the players, weren't happy with the owner, losing to us who'd just come in the Premier League. But,
I mean, they're still not happy with the owner, are they? But you know,
I mean, he was annoyed. He was frustrated.
Oh, I've just watched it back again. It's a bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But you look back now and listen, it happened. He lost his head. I'm sure he wouldn't do it again. The funny thing is he had 2 goals. The first goal he missed, I'm kind of carried. The second, then he gets me. But listen, if I saw him now, there wouldn't be a problem. So,
yeah.
But listen, it was a bad challenge. That's
not
play about it.
I've seen you jump up pointing at him straight away, because I know if I'd have been in that position, I'd have done exactly the same. That's terrible. But yeah.
It meant you missed a lot of the fun of that season, didn't it? Because when you came back from injury, it was a hard graft from then on.
And well, all I was thinking about is I need to get back. I'll work my nuts off, and I remember being a right pain in the arse. I was having to go swimming down the total fitness so I could keep my fitness up. Obviously, when I broke my leg, I was trying to get out and do bike sessions. There was all sorts I was trying to do just so I was ready to come back. And what a game to come back, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You came back on the Man City game and you scored. I think it meant that we drew the half.
Yeah, we did. You went to go and get changed. You were coming on at half time, and then there was no one in changing room, was there? Because Brownie had took everybody over in front of the fans. I was
excited to be back. So in terms of the game, I was sat on the bench, and I'm seeing goals go in, but I'm in and around it again. And I'm at Man City looking at people that are playing. I'm like, I've missed this kind of thing. And I think we was 3-0 down, I think. And then it gets...
I think it was 4. Was it 4 at half time? I think it was. Yeah, because I think we drew 1-1 in the second half to make it 5-1.
3-0 Brownie turned around and he kind of said, listen, you're going to be going on at half time. So I'm like, I'll have a bit of that, because obviously back, I was thinking I was probably going to get 10 minutes. So before the whistle goes, I think it's like 2 minutes before, I'm like, right, I'll run inside, get myself ready, just so that I can be in there for when he has a bit of his speech, and then I can get myself warmed up properly just before the lads come out. So I went to the toilet, come back out, no one in the dressing room. It's a bit weird. It was one of them games where it was a little bit feisty, so I was thinking, they're fighting, obviously, coming off the pitch, or there's a bit of an argument in the tunnel or whatever. So
bit of argy-bargy in the tunnel.
Put me head out in the tunnel, nothing in there. So like, this is bizarre. Something must have happened on the pitch. They're still on the pitch. So when I popped my head round the corner, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I felt bad for the lads that were sat there, imagine me having to walk over like I was like a kid that was getting told, like getting waiting to get told off by his dad had done something.
He'd been late, like he was late to class, so you get it as well.
When you go over. Put my head to the floor, and I mean, I'm not in majority of the pictures, but I mean, one of them I've just got my head down, but I'm excited about coming on, and then Brownie's going mad at everybody, and it's I mean, some of the stuff he was saying, and I can understand what he was saying in terms of, listen, we were 4-0 down, and I think more annoyed at the fact that we never came in Christmas Day.
So he gave you it off, you mean? Right, so, right, I see.
I know what it gets. Sometimes as a manager, you look for every reason why you're playing the way you are and why you're 4-0 down. And I think in hindsight, listen, we're playing Man City for starters. So I don't think it was the reason that we had the day off before that we were 4-0 down. Do you know? The lads, and I think they would try, no matter what, if you give them a couple of days off before. It was just one of them games. So that got brought up, and then obviously I came on and scored. So it was good for me on a personal note coming on and score. But even after the game, there was some words said again, and it was a bit of a bittersweet in terms of I've come on and scored. See, against Joe Hart, England goalkeeper. So just come back, breaking your leg. It was massive for me, just to get that out of the way straight away, scoring. But in terms of the result, it weren't great. It weren't great.
Did the atmosphere change after that? Because I've seen a lot of interviews with people that kind of went the other way with it. They didn't lose respect for Brownie, but they didn't like that he'd publicly kind of barracked him.
But
do you know what
I don't think. I mean, he didn't do it to make a name for himself or anything like that. I wouldn't say that. I think he did it because he cared and he had the because we were losing 4-0. Now it had been in the Championship and then been in League One. I think he would have got away with it. It would have been Sky Sports News, and by next weekend it would have been forgotten about. But because it was in the Premier League, there's no hiding place there. It's all across the world. It's shown frigging 7 times of a night time before you even get to 10 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? So he didn't do great with that.
I don't know if the look of the kind of microphone hanging down kind of didn't help him, sort of thing.
I think in terms of the lads, I think if it was just this, I don't want people to take this the wrong way when I say this, because we had some good foreign lads that played for us at the time. I think some of the foreign lads, I don't think they could take it and understand what he'd done and.
Like Giovanni's English was brilliant, was it? Because he could have barely speak it. So what was he thinking, do you think?
Some of the lads were, I'm not saying they're down tools, but there was a different atmosphere at the place. Do you know what I mean? So, I think if it was the team that we were in the Championship, I think we would have just got on with it and that was it. But there were different players there now. There was, it's not more of an arrogance, but more belief maybe in their ability or who they were or their characters.
You had like George Boateng and Giovanni and
exactly
seasoned pros, weren't they? Who'd done time in the Premier League. They'd never been bollocked on a pitch in front of the away fans, had they?
I think in terms of that, I think they just maybe looked at it a bit different. In terms of myself and I think the majority of the others, I think we just got on with it. You just get on with it. We were quite resilient. Listen, he had a go at us that day, but I'm pretty sure after that, I don't think the next week was great, but then I think the week after we was all right again. He was all right. Do you know what I mean? So it was never personal. As a manager, it's never personal, really, results-wise. Obviously, he's just annoyed because we worked all week on something and people... exactly,
Do you reckon he regrets doing it?
Only he'll know that. Only he'll know. In terms of he's got the coverage he had from it, and I don't know. We went on to do well after that, didn't we? Really, in terms of that.
Well, and you were, one of the key players in a couple of decent results. It took a while to kind of bounce back from that, but you scored when we drew at home with West Brom, and then there was the game away at Chelsea where we drew 0-0. Should have nicked it. And you were outstanding that day up front on your own. I remember you were absolutely fantastic. What are your memories of that game?
For me, that was one of my best games in terms of getting back to fitness, playing in the Premier League, and this, for the way I thought about it, I'm not playing against any mugs here. I was playing against,
it's what it's all about, isn't it? Playing
against
against
to test yourself. I was playing against John Terry, you're playing against Alex. I think it was Boswinger maybe that was playing back.
Yeah, Bosingwa, he ended up going to QPR, I think, after, but yeah.
And then Obi Mikel was just in front of them, and you think this is a decent player. This is what it's all about. So the way we set up, it was counter-attacking. Obviously, it was a 4-5-1. It was like kind of you need to run the channels, get hold of the ball, make it difficult for the back four. And I enjoyed that game. I enjoyed it because there was a lot of onus on, listen, you're going to have to do a job for the team here. There's going to be loads of running, unselfish running, and just go out there and enjoy it. And I did. And to be fair, it's the only time where someone had asked me to swap their shirt at that level. So John Terry come up to me after the game. He was like, "Oh, do you want to swap shirts?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Like, he's probably not even got my shirt now. Straight away. And they were great after I went in, obviously got him to sign it. And I think I ended up either getting Frank Lampard or Ashley Cole's shirt that same day. And the next time we played them again, I got one of the others that time. But yeah, they were. I think they recognised what I did that game, and they were more.
You must have been a pain in the ass to Mark, because I don't think John Terry would have normally done that.
I think he understood what I was about. Do you know what I mean? I think I didn't let him.
Yeah.
I wasn't disrespectful, but I weren't stood off him thinking, "Oh, you're like John Terry, I can't tackle." I think I gave him a hard time, and I think he respected that. Yeah.
They'd want to be challenged. I think if they think they're going to play against Hull City, they just think, "Oh, well, we'll roll these over." And then obviously when you turn up, you're difficult to break down, and you're doing so much running, closing everything down. It's more of a challenge for them. So they probably appreciate that more. I think that it feels like a true test. Like you're not just there to make the numbers up, sort of thing.
I think that's what it was. I think, like you say, a lot of people wrote us off that year, and some teams were probably thinking when they played us, we're just Hull today. Do you know what I mean? We weren't 100%, and I think we give them a good test that day. And I think after the game, I think it was their manager got sacked after that game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. Yeah. There was two others I wanted to ask you about from that season as well, and one I know you played in, although you didn't score, was the Fulham game.
Oh yeah, what a game that!
Yeah, because it's one of my favourite away games of all time. Just the atmosphere was fantastic, like winning it late on. And I don't know if you knew as players, but like Fulham had a neutral stand next to the away stand.
That's so bizarre, that, isn't it?
It's weird as like scoring that goal, Manuccio, and all the City fans exploded, like we were falling down seats and stuff. And then after that, there's like this massive chorus of "fuck off neutrals."
That's brilliant.
One of the funniest things. But what I wanted to ask you about that game was Manuccio scored. What did you think of him? Like when he came in, because to a fan's eye, he didn't have many redeeming qualities, but one of his goals is a pivotal moment in that season. What was the impression of him?
No, I didn't like his attitude. Might be a nice kid in terms, he was a young lad, he'd come from Man U, so the professionalism I expected from him coming from Man U weren't what coming to the football club. And now I'm talking because I'm older. So at the time, I probably wouldn't say that. I'd just say his attitude was shit. But now I'm older and I understand how you should act. And coming from Man United, what they'd expect at that time. It would probably hence the reason why he was coming on loan. So in terms of what I mean by that was that he'd turn up to training and he'd walk in and he'd have sunglasses on. And he wouldn't take them off until he was getting changed. And like before games, he'd have his glasses on and he'd come in a suit with glasses on and he'd have them on in the changing room. And
so he thought
he
was
had
big
that
time,
aura about him. And then for 4 or 5 games, he didn't really, he started and he didn't really do anything.
He didn't do anything apart from really score that goal against Fulham, in my eyes.
not many people know this, but we nearly had a fight in training, and I don't think it was. It was not too long before this game, so in terms of like, he didn't really train properly. So I said to you before, I trained 100%, wanted to win in training, blah blah blah. So like, he hadn't done anything in training. We played this 5-a-side, just something different. Just Brownie decided to do something different, and he didn't really try too much in games. And so in this 5-a-side, his team ended up winning, right? And he'd scored the winning goal. But he was running around the training ground with his hand in the air like he'd scored some unbelievable goal. And I just had the raging ump. So anyway, we ended up having a bit of an argument. There was a coming together. We never had a fight. But in terms of that, yeah, he just grated on me. Just the way he went about it, and the way I just felt our club, we weren't at that stage, and anybody else that came in, at that time when we had George and other people to a certain degree, weren't. George was never that. He was ultra professional. Some of the others had a little bit about that, but they'd been there and done it. Whereas him, he hadn't really done it anywhere. So I couldn't.
Well, I just Googled him actually because I'm interested to know where he is, and I think he's retired now for last year. He was playing in the Spanish third division. But he only played one game for Man U. He went to Valladolid and had a 1-in-10 record, which isn't brilliant. Yeah. But he'd never really made it as like, because he was at United, you think, oh yeah, he's going to be big time. And he wasn't really. He was just another kind of decent player. I don't think anybody wanted him to sign permanently. Let's put it like
his attitude weren't what we were about. It weren't Hull City. It weren't the Hull City I knew in League 2 and League 1 and then in the Championship, where everybody worked their nuts off to get where they were. In terms of, that's just how the people of Hull are. I say we, obviously me coming into it, everybody works hard. They appreciated it. Yeah,
you're adopted Hull.
I couldn't see. I just couldn't for the life of me just suddenly see this young kid from Man U walking around with glasses. It just
I can imagine just walking around with his Gucci sunglasses on, turning up in his Range Rover, like however old.
And then before that game, I think we had a walk around Fulham or around the area because we'd stayed over and blah, blah, blah. And he had them on again, and I was just fucking hotel. But in the end,
they
ended up scoring. It was like that. I think I'm going to have to go and celebrate with him here. Like, he's done well. But then that was it. Yeah, that was it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it links quite nicely with the other game I wanted to ask you about, because I've got two memories of the game at Bolton, second last game of the season. One good, which was you scoring the goal for the point that kept us up, and the other one was Minuccio, because I think he missed a chance right in front of the City fans from a corner, and it was like he skied it, this shot, and it was like it was easier to score than it was to miss, but somehow he got it into the second tier, I think. Yeah, I think so, because you scored second, didn't you? And that was down the other end.
I'll tell you what happened that game. Him and Danny Shittu went for a header. And I think they'd caught each other, and Danny Shittu had a massive boil on the side of his head where they'd banged heads, and it wasn't a cut. Do you know when they get like these big balls?
It was just swollen, straight away like an egg.
But yeah, that was it. I was thinking, we could end up losing this game on that. That could kill us. So yeah, you can imagine what I was thinking about him then.
Yeah, but of course, you robbed Danny Shittu the start of the second half and scored probably the biggest goal of the season, really, in the context of things.
Yeah, it is really, isn't it? Because that got us the point.
Not many people talk about it, so I'm glad you're speaking about it, if I'm honest.
It's the truth, though, isn't it? That was the last point we got, and that was the one that kept us up.
With, all say that goal was really important. No one really speaks about it, blah, 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 which I felt it was, but listen, it's
well, it gets lost in the shuffle because the iconic moments of that season are Arsenal and Tottenham, and then to a lesser extent the Fulham game. But really, you look at the points we picked up that second half of the season, and that was a massive one.
That goal for me is, I've tried to use it in some of the things when I try and get the centre forwards now playing for me in terms of making crap balls into a half decent ball. So that one was similar to the Fulham one in terms of it was a ball down the channel from Rich. Well, that one was from Richard Garcia, the Bolton one. I wasn't maybe favourite to get it, but I tell you what, I'm going to work my nuts off to get it off you and create something. And that's what I always used to try and play against. I didn't feel that even if the centre half was favourite, I could still maybe nick something. And I tried.
It was everything you were about, really. It summed you up as a player for me.
I spoke about this the other day. We're doing something for our under-23s and speaking about what I'd want from centre forwards when I play. And what I always felt the Hull fans appreciated was if a ball went forward and I could close them down and make the centre half or left back kick it out of play, or I could win it back and maybe start an attack. The fans appreciated that. Do you know, like a bit of work ethic and putting yourself.
Yes, yeah, we do.
I think that's 100% what me and you always applaud, in it, Rich, whenever we're at a game.
I think City fans appreciate that over actual skill. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's not a skill, but you know what I mean. You know,
you don't want a flair play. Look at somebody like I don't know, Ben Arthur when he was at us. Like the talent that he had, but he didn't use it. He'd rather get him out, get somebody who's got your work ethic.
In teams that I've seen later on, I'm not saying this now. I did have a little bit of ability. I weren't just running around like a headless.
Oh no, you're a good player.
Having an unbelievable someone who can do anything you want with a football, but yet only turns up one game in 6 because you ain't going to be able to fill a team like that. You're going to need people that are going to have to work for the club or work for players around.
Yeah. You know you're going to get a consistent performance. If you was in, you know what you'd get. It wasn't going to be, is he going to turn up today? And you knew he was going to turn up.
I don't know if you're going to talk about the second season, but I think that's maybe where we went wrong a little bit more in the second season is the type of players that came in.
Right, okay, we're all back.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us again, Craig. We won't take up much more of your time, I don't think.
I'm fine, mate.
My kids are already in bed, so I'm just saying to Rich, we're loving this, like talking to somebody that we just admired from like sitting at the top of the KC and going, what a legend.
Listen, I enjoy talking about it. I don't really speak about it enough. It's weird. Like people, and even now when I'm playing, when I'm coaching, I don't really speak about stuff that I've done in the past. And then when you sit down with people, I quite enjoy talking about things that happen because I don't really talk about it all the time. You like bottle it up or you forget some certain things. It's weird.
I think obviously with the time that we're in currently, where we've got the coronavirus lockdown and everything. Yeah, I think it's a perfect because this is why I started the podcast in the first place. Because I said to you, didn't I, Rich? I was like, "Do you fancy starting a City podcast?" And you were like, "Yeah, I'll have a bit of that." And we thought it'll just be two City fans chatting shit about where they went and what they like, and maybe a few people had listened to it. But then obviously the amount of like support we've had is unbelievable. So it's absolutely like we've talked to Laurie Dudfield, and we talked to Rodney Rowe, we talked to Ryan Williams. So we've talked to like players with respected and well thought of by City fans. Good. But then we've got somebody like you on now. It's the Premier League season. And obviously going into then the second season, we did start to talk a little bit there. You were in a squad that obviously you still got your contract. You stayed up. We finished 17th. That was a kind of another bit of a damp squib, wasn't it? Where we had Man United at home. Yeah, we lost 1-0, but then results elsewhere meant Newcastle was relegated. And what was that game like? First of all, before we got into the next season.
What's that? Sorry,
the Man U at home, because obviously they actually played, didn't they? Play like a load of youngsters.
They had the European Cup final, didn't they?
Yeah, they had. Were they playing Barca, or was it?
They played.
They played. Yeah, Barcelona. I think.
The youngsters that played that day, they were decent.
Yeah. They were good players. Yeah.
Oh, Danny Welbeck played left or right wing, and they played one up front, and they played left and right wing, and it was another lad. I can't remember his name. But they did not stop running all game. Oh my God! Because obviously they were young and hungry and wanted to show why they were playing for Man United and wanted to get in the team.
Yeah, it was their chance, wasn't it? Really, it's Fergie had given them their chance to right, okay, lads, there you go, show me what you're about.
Yeah, And listen, it was disappointing in terms of we put a lot into the game before that, the Bolton game. I think we'd stayed away. We went on a team building thing before we played that Bolton game, and it was important. It was massive, that game for us, really.
Yeah.
We needed to get something out of that game. Otherwise, we were dead anyway. We were getting relegated anyway. And I think the build up to that was all based around that game. And then coming into the next game when we played Man U, it was like we'd run out of steam. And in the end, it took care of itself. But I think if we'd look back and we needed a result there, or do you know what I mean? If it was down to us losing and we got relegated, I think it would have been rightly so in terms of we didn't play great that day. We'd lost steam. We were just, there was just no energy. Yeah.
I think it'd have been, I'm just looking at the Man United team from that game. It might have been Frederick Manchida.
Yeah. Makeda, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else, there was another winger. I can't remember.
I think, was it Lee Martin?
That's Lee Martin. Lee Martin and Welbeck either side. And then Darren Gibson played.
Darren Gibson scored, didn't he?
Yeah, Gary Neville was playing.
They had Nani and Fletcher starting as well, you know.
Right, yeah.
Wes Brown, Raphael played. So it's, you know, a good side.
It was still a good side. They had Danny Drinkwater.
Still a Premier League team.
Danny Drinkwater was on the bench, interestingly.
That's right, yeah.
And then Corey Evans, who in the end came to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously we stayed up. We had Brownie's dulcet tones on the on the stadium announcers.
That was a stitch up. That really, that was funny because in terms of like we were happy about staying up, and I remember, and he was like, "Yeah, get in the changing room. We'll all go out together." Blah de blah. I'm just going to go out and just say a few words. Say a few words. I don't know who it was. Someone come back in the change room and was like, "Lads, you need to come and see this.
Get a load of this."
Like Brownie's singing on the pitch, and we was like, "Yeah, good one." Obviously, because listen, the performance weren't great, but we're still happy because we'd stayed up and it meant something for the town. It was another season in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Everybody had to get relegated. So listen, there was a bit of excitement about staying up. But not to the extent where you're expecting your gaffer to be singing on the pitch. When we went out, it was funny. It was funny seeing him. We were thinking like, "Oh, what's he doing? What's he doing?" But
I think he said that because there'd been a pitch invasion, somebody just shoved a microphone in his hand and like expected him to kind of control the crowds, and he was like, "What do I do?" And only for Phil Brown would the answer be, "Well, I might have a bit of a sing."
Well, it was. That's how. It was at the time, though. So the fans did used to sing that song, didn't they?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Honestly, I know we talked about lockdown earlier. They replayed the West Brom game. I know you didn't play, Craig, because that was when you was injured.
That's right.
But the noise, mate. I presume you was there, Rich, for that one. I was there for that. But everybody stayed back. You'd won 3-0. We're joint top, weren't we?
That's right. Yeah.
And it was honestly that. Best trip I've ever been on, that ringing out throughout the Hawthorns. That was incredible seeing that.
Still buying into the team. So even singing that song, it was that still togetherness with everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, In terms of him singing on the pitch, he sang on the pitch, but the song was relevant. It wasn't that he just made a song up or he was singing a song. So I've got to give him credit where it's due. He was trying to get the fans going, to be fair to him.
I mean, everybody takes the piss out of him for it now, but I thought it was, I enjoyed it. You know, it's like you say, there was that togetherness, and it was just like, he was buying in. We were in it with him, and he was there with us. I thought it was great.
It was our song, that, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
I don't think it's really sung as much now.
And I don't think, I mean, you hear it every now and then, but like I said, it was our song, really.
Yeah. Because obviously, then we've got, what was the atmosphere kind of this similar than in the summer before we started the 2009-10 season? Because obviously you talked about different caliber player coming in. You had a load of different arrivals from all over the world there, didn't we? Had people like Josie Altidore came in, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then we had people like, I know Rich is a big fan of Venigor of Hesselink, but we had somebody, you know, with the longest name known to mankind who played in the Premier League, I think. And then like Ibrahimo Sonko came in, and there was a whole load of different players from all over, really, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, pre-season again, it was like, listen, it's celebrate you staying up for a week and a half, whatever it was, and then get back to business in terms of yourself, like getting yourself ready. And I was pretty good in terms of that I knew I needed to be fit, ready for pre-season. I didn't just wait for pre-season to get fit. I was getting fit, ready for pre-season, so I could top myself up.
Yeah.
So, and it was going to be a battle. Everybody knew it was going to be a battle because the club stayed up. Everybody expected to get relegated. We were just all assuming that, listen, they're going to bring different players in, and they did. Not saying that was the answer.
No.
But I mean, the only one who I thought really moved the needle forward was
Stephen Hunt.
Stephen Hunt.
Yeah.
Hunter. Yeah. I just think that maybe we didn't overpush it, because if you look at the players coming in, unbelievable world beaters. I just think it wasn't the right blend for who we were.
Yes,
and that's the same thing as I was saying about Manuccia, in terms of people that understood what Hull City were, the way we played, how the fans were, what they appreciated. I just think there were different types of players for what were needed, and maybe the teams, they might have worked out better. I just didn't think the blend was that great, and I think some of the lads that were there, and they'd been up through the leagues, I think some of them could have done just as good a job of what people had come in.
Definitely, yeah. I think the only Hull City player in amongst the bunch was Stephen Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, McShane came in, but he'd already been there, so I wouldn't class him as a new signing as such. But
yeah,
really everybody else seemed perhaps a little bit luxury. Yeah. is the word I'd use.
Then you could see that about while we were the way we were playing, and in terms of coaching wise, this is what I'm saying now. My thoughts have changed in terms of, listen, in the Premier League, when you're in the bottom half of the table, you need 11 of your players giving their all and running around for you. So if you've got 2 or 3 luxury players playing that don't get around and rat after the ball like the other players do, you're going to get caught out if you're not one of the top 4 or 5 teams. Do you get what I mean by that? And I just felt that's what we then turned into a little bit, that we had more luxury players and we weren't that gritty Hull that we were the season before or the season before that. But listen, we did go and play well in some of the games that season. I'm not saying that was the only reason we got relegated, but the blend was just different in my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Oh,
go on.
Sorry.
Go on. Sorry.
No, you go. There were some great games in that season. Like the home win against Everton.
Yeah.
And,
that was great. I remember that well.
Beating Stoke at home as well was a good one, and we beat Man City as well, didn't we? So there were some decent
good
games
memories,
in that season.
Good memories, yeah. But again, do you know what? This was what I was just going to say. The goals dried up from people.
Yeah.
People who you would have thought, mate, you signed 2 strikers to get your goals, and they didn't. Did they? The performance might have been there, but the goals weren't. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats, and nobody scored over 6. There's nobody in double figures for that season.
I'm saying people were in and out. We played different. You had lads that had been there a while that just weren't playing, and the new lads were playing. So it takes them to settle in. And then I think the group was different, because you then had some people that were living in Leeds, some people that were then travelling in from Manchester. You then had lads that were staying from different areas of the country, whereas before we were all staying in one area. Do you get what I mean? We were all
yeah. It's more kind of fragmented.
Yeah.
So you'd have your little cliques, wouldn't you? If you lived in Leeds, then you'd have you 4 would come in together, and the ones in Hull, they'd spend time together.
Yeah, and listen, we're in the Premier League, so you've got to socialise differently, and you've got to be a bit more mindful of who you are and you're representing the football club. I understand that 100%, but we still did that the right way when we all lived in Hull. We went out at the right times, we socialised properly. But when those lads kind of came in, like you say, it was slightly different. The lads that lived in Manchester, they did their own thing, and the lads that were in Leeds, they did their own thing. Do you know what I mean? So it a little bit fragmented. We got on. There's no no hatred, anything like that, but it was just different than what was there before.
Because obviously you had some, like, I know this is a bit of divisive character because I actually quite like him, but I know Rich isn't a big fan of Jimmy Bullard.
Yeah, Jimmy.
But obviously, do you get quite on well with him?
See, I didn't mind Jimmy. He could rub people up the wrong way, though. I
can see that. I wouldn't defend that at all. I just kind of, I don't know.
Listen, he's a joker. In terms of, if I was sat in here now with him, just me and him, he'd just be normal. As soon as there's other people in the room, he has to be an entertainer. That's just just the way he was. Like he'd be doing rehab, and next minute he'd be in the gym.
He'd have his pants down.
Yeah, I remember one time being in the gym with him, and he'd be working hard. Next minute, 2 or 3 people come in the gym, and then he ran over to a bin and 2-footed a bin just because more people to entertain. It was just like, it was funny. But
he felt like he had to be the centre of attention, I suppose.
And then at the time it was him, and then there was Dino as well. Them two were like a little bit battle to see who can be the funniest. And listen, his ability-wise, Jimmy, on the football, he was second to none. But
I don't think the attitude was there, the right attitude for a lot of the season, was it?
I think he was more than happy for what he signed and got at the club. The amount of...
Who wouldn't be? Yeah. I'd be very happy with that.
I would as well. I remember going to, because he got injured, didn't he, in his first game the previous season, so it was a long road.
Well, I remember him. I came on West Ham away. West Ham away. We came on at the same time, and I remember playing up front, and I was thinking, fucking hell, he's centre mid, then he's ending up on the right, then he's ending up on the left, and then he's getting the ball from there. I was thinking, we've got a player here. But then, like, he'd look forward with the ball as well, and he'd be trying to play passes. I was thinking, oh, mate, if he gets a run of games, he'll be spread some balls through, and we'd score goals and created goals.
Because I think that's basically what they'd banked the money on, was Bullard turning up, and he didn't see him getting injured, did you?
It was like 15 minutes he was on, and then bang, tackle. Scott Parker again, the one that done his injury in the first place. Tackle again, and that was it. He was out then for, I think it was 8 months after that.
About 8 or 9 months, yeah. He only played 13 games that second season because he had a long time to come back. I actually remember going to watch City reserves because I went to this game because they used to play at North Ferriby's ground. And Jimmy just took the piss. Yeah. He absolutely took the piss in that game. We won it about 4-0. There was a free kick 30 yards out. They rolled it back to him. He did a Letitia tap and then just hit it top bins just because he could. No celebration. Just wearing his snood. Do you know what I mean? Just took the piss.
What turned it for Jimmy was, I think, when he was injured, I think that this was that thing what I was trying to explain earlier about the way the fans were, and we'd come away from what they expected from the players, and the way the lads that were there before carried themselves. There was a different type of calibre of player that came now. So Jimmy was injured for a lot of time. What he did is to be fair to him, he lived in the area. But what he did understand is, because Hull it's a city, but it's not massive. So
it's a village, essentially.
Hull is a village. Everyone knows everyone.
He was going out quite a lot. And the fans couldn't buy into the fact that, mate, Jimmy, you're getting paid a lot of money, but you're out.
I think he was noticed in Weir Bar quite a lot, dancing on tables.
And you're out quite a bit. And he couldn't get his head that he was getting into a lot of arguments and a lot of problems. And like, you can understand why. So from a player's point of view, listen, he's injured. He's got to have some kind of downtime in terms of now, like if you speak to any players now, and obviously mentally, you need a bit of a break. So I wouldn't begrudge anybody that, but just the amount that he was doing it and the amount of money,
I don't think he made it easy.
He didn't make it easy for himself, and he was an easy target. No. And I think he kind of rubbed a few people up the wrong way in terms of just the way he was and with his social life while he was injured. But when he did come back on the ball, he was good for us.
Oh, that 1 month where he won Player of the Month, it was absolutely
that 3-3 game against West Ham sticks in that.
Yeah, listen, he was his ability wise, but again, that was one of them ones where he was a luxury player. Without the ball, he
Yeah, somebody else had to do his running for him because he weren't doing it.
Like you say, he'd be on the ball and he'd turn up at all these different players. So you'd have to play maybe 2 in midfield to help him and let him be free.
Yeah, it's the free role in it really that he needed.
And of course, that was a season without Ash, who might have given him that license. Then you've got George Boateng, who's got another year in his legs, maybe couldn't cover for him as well.
Around so much. Right back next to him. But yeah, it just turned out the way it did for Jim. He was unlucky, the way he got injured straight away. You never want to start a career like that at a club, do you? Do you know what I mean? After playing well for 15 minutes, you're then injured and out for 8 months. It's not great.
No, not at all. And then obviously that season didn't end like the previous one did it?
Yeah.
Was there kind of I don't know, when you then realise, we're going back into the Championship, how was the kind of, what was the mood like? Were you just determined to try and get straight back up there, or because obviously there's then a mass exodus of people leaving?
Yeah, there's a lot of turnover at the time, new manager.
Yeah, I think what happened, did Brownie left?
Oh, we was going to ask about this, Rich, weren't we?
Yeah, Brownie got the sack after the Arsenal game, or got placed on gardening leave anyway.
What was the score then? Did we lose 2-1 or something like that? Was it all?
2-1, yeah, and it was Bentner in stoppage time because City had played really well that day.
That wasn't it? That was such a sucker punch.
When we played Arsenal, we played well.
Yeah, we did.
We could play decent football away from home, and I think that, I don't know if they just maybe showed a little bit of lack of respect to us. I don't know, but we always seemed to play well when we was there. So we thought that was I'm not saying it's good to lose, but it was not a bad result going to Arsenal and only losing 2-1.
Well, we took heart from it, I think, especially in the stands. You know, the way that we played, and to lose in the manner that we did as well, because it was Bo that made a bit of a rick on the winner. I think he dropped it.
Yeah, he just ran in, didn't he, and tapped it in last minute.
I just think, Brownie left, and it was just a bit. Again, there was a lot of players that knew Brownie. Obviously, he'd done so well after Parky was there, and a lot of things had changed. I mentioned the season, the way different calibre of players come in. It weren't the same group. I don't know the ins and outs, but maybe that led to why he didn't have the job or was giving it till the end of the season. I don't know. Would it have been different? You never know. Like I said, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If it used to say we might have stayed up, you never.
I mean, I certainly don't think anybody would have, looked at it and thought, let's get rid of Brownie and bring Ian Dowie in. Again, that's maybe with the benefit of hindsight.
But even getting rid of him at that stage for anybody was even more of a because if it was, say, November and you had quite a few months of the season left to run, you might be like, right, this is roll of the dice, we do it. Not then.
It was a strange time, but
it very nearly worked quite well, because the first game under Dowie, we were down at Portsmouth, and they equalised and then won it within 2 minutes right at the end of the game.
2-1. Foden scored both there, didn't he?
Yeah. He'd come in from, the shadows where he'd been, sort of kicked out to. He'd been on loan that season to Borough.
I'm sure it was news.
But then the next game, we beat Fulham at home 2-0, and you're thinking, we've had one good performance, maybe been a little bit unlucky, because I think O'Hara scored a worldie at Portsmouth.
Yeah, he did. It was from miles out, that.
Yeah, and then a good performance at home to Fulham. You're thinking maybe there's something in this, and then it never quite got going from there.
The training changed. So the first 2 games, there were obviously good performances, but we was knackered because training it just changed. It was not saying it was more intense because we were training well before. It wasn't that. It was longer. Because he wanted to change a lot of things, and he wanted it to be his style. He wanted us to learn how he wanted to play. So,
did he make the normal new manager claim of they're not fit these players?
So we were out a hell of a lot of time, and then the first 2 games, like I say, were great. But then we just kind of blew up again, and then we always felt that when it come to a match day, we had no legs. And again, maybe he might have done something different. and I think I've heard him say before that the blend wasn't great at the end of the season. The players that he said that he had left, but yeah, it was just a strange end to the season because, like you say, Wood Brownie kept us up. You never know. You never know after that decent result. Well, it wasn't a decent result performance against Arsenal. Said hindsight's a wonderful thing. Like you say, we never know.
We ended up getting relegated by 5 points, but I think it was the final game. Was it Burnley?
That's right. Yeah.
That was the one that felt like it really rubber stamped it.
I think Killer scored, and then we ended up losing 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy missed the penalty as well, didn't he?
That was painful memories.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and then it's like, right, that's it, we're down. But at that point, it didn't feel like. I was thinking that, like, not worried. I was thinking like we can get back. Do you know what I mean? We've done it before now. Yeah. We've cracked that. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be hard, but we could get back to where we are. We're devastated, but I was thinking we can get back up, kind of thing. Yeah.
I think.
Go on. The next summer was like a summer of change again. Like we said, Nigel Pearson comes in, and you started the season quite regularly, playing under him, and then of course you got injured, didn't you?
Pre-season, which I don't think many people know. So, like when I was in pre-season, I ended up doing something to my hip. I had a labral tear. I needed a hip arthroscopy. So, but at that time, we didn't know exactly what it was. So in pre-season, I left it, ended up going to see someone, and I ended up having to get an injection. But the specialist was saying, listen, I've done this injection on someone before. I think Scott Parker had it the day that I was actually going in. And that you'll have this injection. He said, it'll only last for 3 months. You're going to need an operation on it. I was like, all right. So I'll take the injection because I wanted to be playing in the team. And I felt that with the manager coming in, I'd heard good things about him, and I wanted to see if I could get in there and being in around it. So my decision was, listen, I'll just take the injection and play on with it. And the specialist was spot on. It was near enough to the day that it was like 2 months and coming into the 3 months, and it was just like bang, the pain was back again. So I went to see the physio and was like, listen, I'm struggling here. I need this operation. So I came back again. I tried to play. And in the end, kind of fell out with the manager to a certain degree because he said to the physio that he doubted that I was injured because I was up at the end of the season and he thought I was trying to get out of there.
Well, he was saying you were big time. He didn't want to play the championship.
That, he's trying to get a move and he's not injured. He's just looking after himself. So having speaking to me tonight, you know what kind of person I am.
No, I was going to say I'm not going to ever accuse you of not wanting to play football.
I wouldn't have thought that just from watching you play anyway, Craig.
And I fell out with him because I said to him, listen, I don't mind you thinking I'm a crap footballer. I ain't got.
Yeah, think I'm shit, but don't accuse me of not playing or not wanting to play.
If you think I can't score, can't hold the ball up, can't take anybody on, not a problem. That is your opinion. But just don't question who I am as a person. I'm telling you I'm injured and I need an operation. I'm telling you for a reason. So in the end, we had a massive fallout. So I ended up having to have the operation. When I came back, he wasn't great to me. And in the end, I obviously left that end of the season.
Well, you didn't play that season.
I was good.
Did you?
And
no.
I had a little boy who'd just been born. So it wasn't a great year for me in terms of, well, it was great because I had a little boy, but in terms of, I was at a club that I loved where suddenly a manager come in and was telling me that he didn't believe what I was saying. He thought I was trying to get out of the football club. But yeah, my home life was good. But yeah, just the way it ended in terms of, right, okay, I wasn't back fit and playing before I left. It was kind of like, right, we're not giving you another deal. Even though Adam wanted to, you had someone at the football club who was the manager who was saying, nah, he's not for me. In terms of obviously the manager. So yeah, I went different ways. So I missed that whole season. So I was a bit gutted the way it ended because suddenly
you got released, didn't you?
But I wasn't
because they just didn't renew your contract.
I wasn't even fit.
Yeah,
I'd signed something. I think there was a month left of the season. I think I signed something just to leave before the end because he made my life that bad. Of I'm going in somewhere to get treatment, and I've got a manager that don't believe that I'm injured, like I'm up. Yeah. So I just wanted to get out of there. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done it. I should have stayed around, got my treatment through the summer, because the club should have had a duty of care to look after me in terms of that, and then gone other places after that with proper rehab. But I just wanted to get out of there because I felt a bit pissed off and aggrieved in the sense that I'd got a manager coming in, not really understanding who I was and how I felt about the club. I just suddenly made a decision. He thought I was making up my injury, so it was one of them. Yeah, it weren't great in terms of that. But he fell out with a few people that year as well.
I've heard he's a bit of a divisive character, Nigel.
Listen, he's gone into Watford now, and he's been great for Watford. He's
they had a bounce certainly when he came in.
Yeah, he was great for Leicester. I think he was good for us. Set up a lot of the good work that came.
What he's done, he's gone away and worked on himself this time to then come back and get the job where he's got to now.
Do you think it was good manager, people skills shit sort of thing?
Without Craig Shakespeare, his coach, he'd be a different manager. 100%.
Really?
Yeah, he's really good, Shaky. Really good. And in terms of...
Because he's usually goes wherever he goes, isn't he? They go
Shaky's training session's unbelievable. Yeah, really good. He's probably the nicest one out of it. He fell out with loads of people. He fell out with Jimmy. He fell out with the more experienced lads.
I don't think he's the only one to fall out with Jimmy. I think Barbs did as well.
He just wanted a younger team in that he could boss around and intimidate.
His way, yeah.
It felt like a lot of the established characters were kind of marginalised. I think the only one that he kept around was Barnby.
Barnby ended up
like Ashby, didn't he? Yeah. Like even Ashby, who you would think would be an untouchable, he went, didn't he?
Weird that scene.
Yeah, there was a lot that went, and it was he was clearing the decks. Listen, it worked for him to a certain degree. They got decent results. Didn't get promoted under him, but
no, there were some good. We talked a few episodes ago. Me and Rich talked about our favourite away games, and one of mine was the one where we'd gone with Nigel Pearson to Forest and upended them after their amazing run with Matty Fry at scoring.
Very good squad, very young squad that came in. Hungry, they're all hungry to prove they could play. So yeah, probably looking back, they're probably gutted that didn't get promoted, that team. So there's some decent players in that. I think maybe it was like if they kept that squad together for another year, or he'd stayed because he ended up going to Leicester, didn't he?
He did. He went
another year and a half or whatever, another season. I think that squad that was there, if they added 1 or 2, I think they could have got promoted again.
Yeah. Listen, Craig, we're getting quite late into the night, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. And we've obviously then we've reached the end of your time at City. Just to finish off, how are things going with your coaching these days? Obviously, you're doing under 23s at Southend.
I was already getting into it when I went to Malaysia. I was over there with Steve Keane, and obviously that's where I had my last injury. Really, I ruptured my Achilles, and he was like, "Listen, you're over here. You might as well take an under 19 team and start getting into it a little bit more and getting ready for when you finish." I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a bit of that." So.
Was you out?
Was
you
right,
Brunei
Singapore,
or something?
Well, Singapore League, but obviously Brunei is in.
It's a different country. It's the Sultan on that team or something.
Man, by the way.
Yeah.
Be a pound behind him, Jesus. Yeah.
Is it Bandai or something like that?
He used to, his son, the Prince. So it was bizarre. Some of the things that used to go on there. So in terms of, he'd watch training every day. So we trained at 4:00, and like it was a training field with a running track around it. But then there was this like It's hard to explain. It was like a viewing gallery, but it was inside. So like at a normal stadium, do you know where you've got the chairman's box? It was like the size of that, but with a glass window.
Yeah.
All right. So there was like a building there. That was the only thing really at this training ground. But the Prince would come every day in a different car. And I'm talking not like just the average car. I'm talking like Bentleys, Ferraris, all sorts.
Yeah.
Aston Martin, anything, any car. That is. He probably had them as well. He probably had one to go around his plot of land that he had there. But he
definitely had a field car.
Yeah, he turned up with his escorts, his police escorts, like on the motorway. You'd see him come past the training ground and then come back in the entrance. The police would obviously get him in the building. He'd sit, watch training, and then he'd disappear every day. Like it was just bizarre. But our away games, we had to play in Singapore. So where it was a Muslim country. So, it was quite strict. Pretty worried about going there because I read things about like if you steal and things like that, you can get stoned to death. And it was like things like that.
Was it dry as well?
So there was no booze. So I was like, right. Let's be careful.
Let's be careful.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine you go to the shop and then your little boy, I don't know, lo and behold, put something in his pocket by accident or sweet
lollipop.
They're going to cut my hands off and stuff. So I was panicking. So end of the day, just thought, listen, going to do it, something different. So I went over there. I quite enjoyed it, honestly, because we had an English manager. We played our games in Singapore, which was just like London to a certain degree.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a lovely place.
But then after the fourth game, I ended up rupturing my Achilles. So that's why I ended up getting into the coaching. And then come back. And then, like any of the ex-players, you speak to like loads now, it's hard getting in anywhere, mate, to coach. It's hard. Now, I played at a decent level, but from my point of view, I didn't do enough arse kissing to have loads and loads of friends in football where I can ring them and be like, oh, get me a job in here. Can you get me in there? Can you get me in there? I've never been like that. And I will never be like that.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to get back into coaching now, obviously coming back over here, there's not a lot of people that I could call on. So then I've had to do it, I consider the right way. So so
you'd have to graft and do everything off your own back.
It is different. And what I mean by that is the other side. So you're not just watching around the football, you're watching what's going on in other positions when the ball's not around them and stuff like that. So I've had to do Sunday teams. I then did an under-16s at Southend. I then moved and did under-16s at Hull. Got moved to do the under-23s at Hull. And then from my decision, I then came away from Hull and did the under-23s because I was going to be the manager, the under-23 manager down here. So listen, I enjoy it. It's the closest thing to playing. I mean, it can be infuriating at times when you set something up in terms of this is how we want to play today, lads. I want you to do this and this. Now,
go and score. Minute, someone
goes under someone's foot. So, in terms of, I can understand why managers made certain decisions in the past and how they got frustrated. I love it, honestly. I do. It's really good. But I'm open to learn. I'm not expecting, or I don't think that I can go into a club with an attitude that, listen, I've played in the Premier League, I deserve a job somewhere. No, it ain't like that. I'd rather stay somewhere. There's no hiding place. I think you have to be ready. I think you can't be arrogant enough to think just because you've played at a certain league and a certain level, you just are going to go in and take the world by storm. It ain't like that. And football players, they know when you're lying. So if I don't believe what I'm saying, they ain't going to believe me. And I've noticed that with, like I said, managers that have come in the past. The players are quick to judge. So the first session you put on, if it ain't really spot on, the lads are like, hold on a minute, even he's not believing what he's saying here. So you've got to be a good salesman as well as a good coach to a certain degree. So I'm enjoying it. So play one day,
That's
come
great.
back and manage City or be involved first team, that'd be something good to do. And
I'd love that. I know a team. If any team mirrored your work ethic, I'd definitely be seeing them every week.
Yeah, well,
and enjoying it. I know
remember that next time if a job comes available and my name's touted around, I don't want to see you voting against me then on all.
I'd never do that, Craig.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Listen, it's been an absolute privilege to talk to you. It's been so kind of you to give up your time. I'm sure Rich will have similar sentiments to me. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, some of the games that I've been privileged to watch you and the teams that you played in, Craig, and some of the best memories of my life. So to be able to speak to you and talk about it, it's a huge privilege. Thank you very much.
On again or whatever. Like, listen, the years that the club gave me, it was unbelievable times in terms of us getting promoted. The people of Hull have always been good to me. So not a problem if ever you want to do anything again. And
I'll definitely be in touch, and I'm definitely going to take you up on that.
And speaking to players, I think it's good.
Top man.
I think, we appreciate it as players as well, so thank you as well.
You're welcome. I think the thanks are all ours, to be fair. But it's really nice to hear that. I know when football finally does start again, I think we'll have a little bit more to talk about than just memories. We want to try and make it a little bit more current when things do, kind of calm down from the current situation. But currently it's serving a good purpose, I think. But thank you so much for giving up your time. Good luck with the coaching when it resumes. We hope to speak to you soon. Obviously, if you're listening to this, then we need views on Facebook and Twitter and everything else like that. If you want to get involved, ask questions, to share experiences, we're at Tigers Blah on Twitter and at Tigers Podcast on Facebook. So thank you for listening, and we will speak to you soon, I'm sure. Cheers, Craig. Take care.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
Cheers, Craig.
Thank you very much.